the 8-Bit Hillbillies. And here we are, the 8-Bit Hillbillies.
Yay!
The 8-Bit Hillbillies. 8-Bit Hillbillies.
Yeah.
Help me out, guys. Come on.
We don't have intro music.
We're just gonna like make something and then come back and like that'll be it. It'll just be like natural. And I'm sitting here like laying down a beat and y'all just like you're jamming, but you're not contributing, you know. All right, we'll try it next episode.
My beatboxing skills are very lackluster.
I don't know. I'm just making it up as I go. The 8-Bit Hillbillies. The 8-Bit Hillbillies.
The system is down. The system is down.
Janigan's over there saying boots and cats. All right, we'll work on that. For now, we'll continue to be.
There's a lot we need to work on.
8-Bit Hillbillies.
For now.
Anyway, hey, welcome back, everybody. Here we are, episode number 2 of our refresh. Down the genre rabbit hole is what we're titling this one. So we are finally returning to the land of video games. We've been more on a movie kick for quite a while.
What, like the past month? Well, the last quarter of last year.
Yeah, and you know, so much of that lined up with holidays and movies that we tend to associate more with holidays, and so yeah, I mean it had a natural flow, but yeah, we've been skimping on video games, so we're back in that world tonight. So
I still never got to see Violent Night.
Yeah, me neither.
I wanted to so bad.
I haven't got to see a lot of anything, but I just don't have much desire either. So
yep,
that's all right.
Anyway,
Get
it. I'm not gonna get us distracted.
Don't. I will mute you.
What?
Again.
Yeah. Wow.
Just hateful tonight
because I have the power. But no, we just thought, hey, we'll go high level. We will talk about different genres of video games. Maybe a little bit of how some of them started. Like I said, some of our favorites, some of them maybe not so much our favorites. And it's not a knock against anybody that likes them. They just don't necessarily appeal to us. So with that,
I've got one or two of those
that don't really appeal to you.
Yeah, they just don't resonate with me too well.
Yeah. Well, and and part of, and I guess kind of keeping it high level. I guess we'll try not to go too far down. Like, I guess they would be sub rabbit holes. Because like you have some categories, and then some of those categories even split off. I don't, we'll probably cross the road, but like I said, I'm not going to say we're going to go too specific. So, you kind of headed this idea and got us pointing down this direction, Janigan. So you want to kick us off? You got something? You got something in mind?
Put it on the spot.
On the spot.
Well, see, that's the thing is on the spot. So the whole thing, it popped in my head because we were trying to figure out, what games can we discuss. Let me tell you, trying to come up with a specific game or title or series, it's a lot harder than you would think it is. to come up with something to talk about on these things, and we had what, 2 weeks essentially since we did this last, and in that 2 weeks we could not think.
The question, what are we going to do, was asked at least 12 times.
Yeah. And,
yeah.
And it's not that we.
So, and that really.
It's not that we don't have anything, like, oh, we've talked about every video game on the planet to talk about. It's just
we're just all indecisive.
Oh my gosh. There's no
No,
way that we've covered every video game that we could talk about.
no, it's just there was nothing natural that jumped out at us um, to that really felt we really felt compelled to talk about. So it's it may be that something will hit us and that could create a chain reaction of like 5 episodes worth of video games. I don't know, but
It's
yeah, nothing
possible.
nothing
Mm.
nothing called out to us. So
And really, I think that a good portion of the games that I know at least 3 of us played back in our heydays, they're so old, and we'd really need refreshers on a lot of them, and to try and play them again and goof with it again, just to be able to refresh the mind. I mean, we know what games we played, but we don't know what each other have played for the most part. Um, I mean, Chief and I both played games together growing up. We've practically known each other all our lives. That's what happens when you're family. But there's certain games that we played together and beat together and what have you. But there was games that he played that I wasn't interested in. Earthbound, for instance, was a game he played a lot of, and I looked at it and went, ugh. But what's funny is it falls in a genre that I actually enjoy. It's an RPG.
it is depending, and so we'll go ahead and we'll take this one for example. It's a gem. It's a lovely little gem, but you have to get past. And I think in your case, I know what was probably going on. It was a different battle system when you were a Final Fantasy guy.
Oh yes, I was.
and
I was.
that was your bread and butter. And I mean, honestly, through those, that's you introduced me to RPGs.
Mario RPG.
And
Oh, whew.
well, and even Mario RPG follows kind of the
That was
same
that.
format.
If there was an RPG that I played, I didn't play Final Fantasy. I didn't play Homebound, or Earthbound, or
Homebound,
Inbound,
inbound, outbound.
Outbound. Yeah, I didn't play any of those, but I did play Mario RPG, and that one was the first. I get kind of the first jump off into RPGs, and it still has that special little place. It's like, of the RPGs that I've played, I will gladly step back in and play that one any chance I get.
So, funny enough, and this is going to make all of you feel old, I think my first RPG was honestly Skyrim, if that can be considered one.
Kinda.
It meets. I would say it meets the criteria.
Yeah.
I do too.
Well, I guess
Skyrim is so large that, to me, that's one of those ones, as where I said you can fall down a slippery slope of having something that meets, multiple genres is its own genre. Skyrim is a sandbox RPG, action adventure, first person shooter. Because I'm not really shooter per se, but I mean, you're still in that perspective. You can check a lot of boxes with Skyrim. So I mean, but you're still designing a character, choosing your adventure, leveling.
I guess
Yeah.
you could also consider I played Oblivion for about 30 minutes and did not like it.
But yeah, now I think, well, and so Mario RPG followed kind of the you see your characters, you have your action menu, you fight.
Yeah.
In that
Wow.
same in that same vein, the original Super Mario RPG is the only Mario RPG series from that series that I've played. The others, I looked at them and they didn't appeal to me. That's something about them compared to that original, and I had no interest. And so that's kind of where I was going with, where Janigan didn't see the appeal of Earthbound. There's a lot of RPG elements there, but then the battle system is totally, it's that, you only see the enemy. You don't see your characters. It's kind of weird, it's not your typical medieval fantasy setting either, but uh but it is a hidden gem. If you got the time, it's worth diving down. You got to get past some of those initial hurdles.
Did they offer Earthbound? Was it on one of the like the classic NES
Mhm.
classics, or it was,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Is on the SNES Classic.
I thought it was.
Um,
That'll probably be your best bet in trying to play it now today.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
oh yeah,
because to get a actual SNES system and get the actual Earthbound game, it's going to set you back a pretty penny.
yeah.
Well, I know a guy.
Well, we all do, don't we?
Yeah, I know this
I mean,
guy.
it's
who
kind of in
actually
the camera
happens to
right now,
have-
actually.
He happens to have an original copy.
That's in box.
Actually, once upon a time, I did actually know two people who had copies of Earthbound, and the other guy sold his on eBay.
The full.
Yeah, that's what I was just like, dude. You just hand it here. You got
Yeah.
stuff you want to get rid of. Let me know.
It's one of those. I hold on to it because it means something to me. I don't hold on to it because of the value.
Yeah,
And
well, and
Lord knows
that's what
Lord knows you
law-
could have a lapse of sanity over some of the money it fetches. It's kind of gone down lately, and I'm kind of glad. I mean, I don't care. I mean, I hold on to it because, and as we've talked about before, with a lot of these games, there's a lot of attached memories, and kind of to play them, takes you back to a different time. Similar with like music and even movies. Somebody pops in that certain CD from '95, and suddenly you're back in middle school again or something.
that
so
kind of happened. Well, it wasn't middle school, but it was. Well, yeah, kind of was middle school, 8th grade. Red Hot Chili Peppers.
yeah,
On the other day, I was like, "Holy crap!"
it's one of those things. It takes you back.
Yeah.
There's memories tied around some of these. So Earthbound's that same thing. I hold on to that. That golden era of gaming and what life was back then. And yeah, I hold on to it because it's special to me. But yeah,
Pretty much the same for a lot of my games too that I've still got. Like my Final Fantasy II, I've got the original Final Fantasy II cartridge back in there right now, and that was the RPG that I just absolutely demolished hours upon hours of my time on. I mean, holy mackerel! And I think I even had one save file that had probably every hard to find summon in it, and hard to find armor and things of that effect. So,
Well,
lot
see,
of
that was
hours.
the thing that was good about RPGs is that the playtime, like the length of playtime that you could get out of an RPG, far surpassed like the regular,
Single
just like a
players.
Super Mario. Yeah, like a side scroller or top down, or one of the regular just action shooters. Like Contra. You play through Contra, there's not a lot more to it. If
beat
you
it in
play
half an
through-
hour.
Yeah, I mean, there was you didn't get the playtime that you got out of an RPG, and that's a good draw.
I'm
if you're
about to
gonna get
say,
your money's worth.
and especially when we were growing up, and some games, I mean, prices varied wildly, and if it's a birthday and Christmas was kind of your zone for a game, unless you saved and scrapped in between. RPGs were the best bang for your buck if you wanted something to last to Christmas. So yeah, I'm with you. every playthrough of any of the classic Final Fantasies is a 40-hour time sink minimum.
And it took time. You got your money's worth.
Yeah.
You really did. And of course, the prime maker of the RPGs at that time was SquareSoft. I mean, they're not SquareSoft now. Now they're Enix and Square
Square
Enix.
Unix. I mean,
Can't talk.
yeah, Enix.
The square root. um, but I digress. Final Fantasies, Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy 3, and these are just for here in the US. I mean, in Japan they released God knows how much. Final Fantasy 2 was Japan's Final Fantasy 4. Final Fantasy 3 was Japan's Final Fantasy 6. They skipped 5 altogether here. We never got to see 5, which was a shame because it was pretty darn good.
Not saying unless you got the Game Boy Advance version that they released over here.
True. Or
I still really
I think
do.
the first time we saw it was Final Fantasy and no, not Anthologies. Final Fantasy Collection, PlayStation 1.
Yeah, it was PS1 because it was 6 and 5, and then there was Chronicles that had Chrono Trigger and 4.
And Chrono
Final
Trigger,
Fantasy
yeah.
4.
Which Chrono Trigger, that's another one. And the thing is you played a lot of Chrono Trigger. And it's not
because of you. I mean, honestly, because Chrono Trigger ended up being the first one that came around that was like fresh and new, and I was like, man, I want to be cutting edge on this one. It's my turn, because you wore out Final Fantasy 2 and 3, and I watched so much of that with you. Honestly, I didn't need to buy them because I borrowed your 2.
Likewise with me and you with Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
And so, but I didn't have my actual own Chrono Trigger until the PlayStation copy.
And hands down, I'll die on that sword. Chrono Trigger is the greatest RPG ever made.
It's pretty darn good.
And that's not to knock the Final Fantasies. Final Fantasies, if you're talking overall RPGs, I will die on that sword. Chrono Trigger. It's just such a perfect storm package, with the creators, the music, the design, the story. It still tops most lists if you look at them even today.
I mean, for me, I have to go with Final Fantasy 6 as the greatest made, but my favorite was 4. Sounds weird.
Well, see, but I understand your argument. Final Fantasy 6 is a better Final Fantasy than 4. But there's a soft spot for 4 that puts it just a notch higher.
Pretty much.
I get what you're saying, and of course, probably because I've watched you play 4 so much.
I love 4, and even all of its remakes that it's had today. I just absolutely love it. Then there was Secret of Mana. I mean, SquareSoft just absolutely ruled the roost when it came to that era's RPGs.
Well, and that's part of the reason I'm going down the retro path on the PlayStation. Square had so many new ideas on the PS1 with RPGs that are outstanding games, and I feel like they've been lost to time. Franchises they just never pick back up.
Vagrant Story,
Parasite Eve, Brave Fencer Musashi, Xenogears. There's a long list of new and original ideas, and I've been going back down that rabbit hole lately, but not wanting to spend the entire time on RPGs. We could have just made this an RPG episode, but
it's true.
Then we'd probably start running 6-inch and Zesty out because I know, and kind of the point of the episode, I know those typically aren't your all's bread and butter.
No,
Yeah.
I like I said, Mario RPG, and then I played MMOs, so I did kind of delve off into the massive multi online player, yeah.
That's an episode in itself, but like most lists, MMOs they consider their own genre.
Yeah,
of the
and
standard
well, I
RPG.
mean, they should be really
Yeah.
Mine,
because
mine,
the
are,
dynamic changes quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
mine have always just been looter shooters and RTSs and uh, just first person shooters in general.
Yeah.
I really enjoy RTSs a lot. Like one of the games that I always wanted to play but never had the ability to because I didn't have a computer that could run it was StarCraft.
Yeah.
And I finally got to play StarCraft and I beat every campaign in like a week. Beat all 3 campaigns in like a week and absolutely loved it, even though a lot of people like critiqued it really, really hard.
Well, the problem with StarCraft was that it was kind of a a backup to Warcraft,
Yeah,
and
I agree.
people
And it's never really got the love that
they
Warcraft
turned
has.
they turned Warcraft loose, but people were like, you had different groups, you had different parties, you had some that liked more like the science, the more like technology, sciencey, outer space kind of feel, and
Science
then you
fiction.
like the fantasy, and the
mhm,
fantasy stuff is where Warcraft came in because you had the orcs and the humans and the
yep,
and the fights there, but Warcraft was that one was the first. That really was, what came out before StarCraft.
yep,
And so it ended. Unfortunately, it did end up kind of taking a back seat.
Well, especially once WoW came out.
Yeah, yeah. Once
Whew.
World of Warcraft came out, that was the end of it.
They
But
they rode that one for a good while. Well, and so I'll say this too. In the same vein, you could argue that it also pushed back Diablo
yeah,
considerably. I mean, we waited a long time
for
for
Diablo 3.
sequels for Diablo 3 and for StarCraft 2.
Yeah.
A long time. Of course, now Diablo seems to be moving pretty good. Of course, StarCraft has now gone quiet
yeah.
again. They
I
finished
think
the trilogy, and
they just announced the beta. I think just recently for Diablo 4.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
And it's up for pre-order right now. Diablo 4 is.
yeah, yeah. Which, like I said, I know a guy. He was actually in the alpha um, testing for Diablo 4, but unfortunately, due to circumstances, he was not able to tell anything at all about it. just that, just that. To him, it looked like it was going to be a pretty good game. So that was about
I
all I
mean,
got. But
he probably could have told you.
yeah, he probably could have.
I mean, let's just be honest. That stuff was
Pesky
out there.
NDAs that nobody really follows
I was
except for
about
that
to say,
guy.
you Google Diablo 4 Alpha, and I'm sure you will find anything and everything. I respect being honorable, following the NDA. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong, but I mean, I don't know how
What?
many times I've over the years random beta. Oh, you can't talk about it. And I'm like, yeah, they're over there talking
yeah.
about it. So
He would. He did. I mean, like he would. Told me some funny stuff about it because he said like you playing through and like you come up to like a cabin that's supposed to be setting out, in this wilderness or whatever, and you walk up to the cabin and it's literally just like a big pink blob that says placeholder.
Dude, I like that. World of Warcraft for a little bit in alphas and betas would use these cubes, these blue and white checkered cubes placeholder.
Yep. They
um,
just big pink blobs as placeholder. And so it was he was he told me a little just like funny stuff like that he could he wasn't giving anything away,
yeah,
but he just said it was, but he's another guy that he spent a lot of time on Diablo 3.
you mean
I mean,
more than Jannergan?
and
Oh, there's people spend a lot more time on it than I
oh
have.
yeah.
I don't believe that.
He spent a lot of time. I mean, I would dare say he's probably come close to spending at least double what Janigan spent on it.
I haven't even hit Paragon level 2000 on any character. And the thing is, there's people that are like 4,000, 5,000. They spent some time
Yeah,
decked
he
out in full primal ancients, and I mean,
he was.
holy Nikes.
I think they pulled his name quite literally. I don't know that he signed up to be part of the alpha test. They literally pulled his name because of the amount of time he spent
I
playing.
said, "We want you,"
and said, "Hey, would you be interested?" And he said, "Sure."
Yeah.
So,
Not to interrupt or get too far sidetracked, but I was trying to find the release dates. I finally found the release date for Warcraft, and it was November 15th of 94, and StarCraft released 4 years later in March of 98.
yeah,
That
So,
makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, they
And then
were
we went.
actually reasonably far apart.
Well, Blizzard
yeah, they
takes
were, but
forever to build games.
Yeah,
They've
that's
always been slow to
absolutely
build
true.
games.
they released more than one Warcraft.
Yeah, that's just the original Warcraft. It took me forever to find the actual release date. It kept pulling up the release date for World of Warcraft, which was 2004.
Yep.
Yeah,
And so
I
it's
could have
like
told you that one. I remember
I know.
that one.
I was just
Um,
I was fighting with it because I kept it's like original Warcraft release, and I'm like typing in all these things, and it just keeps pulling up World of Warcraft, and it's starting to piss me off.
no.
Yeah, it's
Well,
starting to tick me off.
look and see when Warcraft 2.
2.
Warcraft 2 was Tides of
Uh,
Darkness, released in 95.
yep,
They
95,
cranked that one
and
right
then
back out
yeah.
after.
Yeah,
So I bet you after 3 is when. Nope. I thought there wasn't there a Warcraft 3?
There was.
There is.
And
It's called the Reign of Chaos. The thing is Warcraft 2, Tides of Darkness also had a expansion. I think it was
I was
through
gonna
the
say it had
portal.
expansion on it.
I'm going to double check that title on its expansion. Warcraft 3 also had a expansion on it.
So Reign of Chaos actually came out after StarCraft. So it came out in July of 2002.
Yeah, Warcraft 3, Reign of Chaos did. It had an expansion, The Frozen Throne. And then Warcraft 2, Tides of Darkness, had an expansion, Beyond the Dark Portal.
Yep.
And that came out in 96.
And and that kind of leads me, it's another. Well, here's another case. We're talking real time strategy games,
Hmm.
and I in general pretty well like them all.
Yeah.
But like Janigan, I know you never really got into Command and Conquer.
I had 2. Command and Conquer 2, Red Alert.
Now, Red Alert was
Red Alert was
great. Red Alert 2
hysterical.
was masterful. I love Red Alert 2. But, you typically steered towards Warcraft and Age of Empires.
Oh, Age of Empires.
Whereas
World of Warcraft, or not World of Warcraft, but Warcraft, dude. I mean,
Warcraft, yeah.
You click on the pigs until they explode. What other game can you do that in?
That's very specific, so probably none of them.
Yeah.
I can kill a lot of pigs in Minecraft.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I mean,
but whereas I went down Command and Conquer rabbit hole pretty good, and was just at AOE. You were like the master of AOE, Age of Empires.
So which
so
one?
much so that you knew someone's weenus.
Oh my god. What Red Alert was it that
6-inch
you
knows
could
what I'm
play
talking
as-
about.
as Japan, Russia, or the US? And it had to do with like time travel.
Which we've
Wasn't
lost
that?
6-inch.
Oh,
I'm looking
think
for.
we-
I'm looking for.
You missed
I'm
the
looking-
reference, the joke, because Janigan
sorry.
he knew the weenus
The weenus.
because
I know his.
one
I know
one guy
his
we
weenus.
knew
You know,
one
what?
guy we knew used one specific country region, quite a bit, and
On AOE.
on AOE, and Janigan's like, yeah, I know how to counter them. That's nothing. I don't even remember what factions it was.
I
or
don't
countries, but
either. But I mean, I know there was one because we played it in our LAN parties whenever we could get the damn thing to work because I don't know why we never
God, the
could.
net code for AOE 2 was trash.
Man, but
You'd get everybody in, and the moment the last guy would join, it would boot 2 others or something just really
yeah,
stupid.
it was just nuts. I
I'm
remember
not
one
kidding.
guy.
Been there, done that.
Literally
Too.
the host. The host would crash.
Yeah.
Well, then you try to host, and then nobody could find you.
And then somewhere in that, we determined that my AOL was causing part of it, and
Yeah.
Well,
Trying to
It
think.
was awful,
you've
dude.
got man.
The-
Goodbye.
But the thing was, it was he would generate. It was whatever was weak to pikemen, and I don't know if that was infantry or archers or cavalry. I think it was cavalry.
Weak to
Byzantines.
So he would create like a pile of cavalry because they have a faster movement speed. So as you move, they just swarm in. Well, I think Janigran said was like, yeah, I know his weakness. And it's like, you know his what? Weakness. No. You said weenus. No, I didn't. No,
did
you
not.
did.
The intent was weakness, and we
No,
got
I
a
didn't.
weenus.
Yes. Heard a joke. A joke's been telling about me. No, you didn't.
That's
Yeah,
the weenus right there.
The
that is the
weenus.
Weenus.
The weenus.
He couldn't even say weenus. He said
But it was-
weenus.
it was pikeman. But it was the pikeman. That's
Yeah.
what the weenus was.
Yeah.
So yes, I remember that.
But yeah, I never went down that far down that to really master the nuances of each country and their strengths and
I can tell you right
Oh, they
now,
got so much on it now.
I had my butt handed to me. I played a game one time. I thought I was okay at it. I knew I was okay. I mean, I didn't think I was terrible. But a friend of mine said, "Hey, my brother and his friend, they play this all the time. They wanted to know if we wanted to play a game." I was like, "Oh yeah, sure." I figured just kind of casual hanging out. Man, we got our butts stomped. I'm talking monkey stomped. It was terrible.
Did they do an early on game militia rush?
No. Actually, they come in and basically they just started jumping. Like we were in the game maybe 15 minutes and they were already moving. They were moving like past. I think they were 2 ages ahead of us.
That's the thing. You get into those pros, whether it's AOE, Command and Conquer, StarCraft, Warcraft. The guys that were pros, played competitively. They'd get their macros mapped out, and I mean they would. The way we would kind of casually play and click here, we'll put a little house over here, and we'll send this dude here to kill that sheep and get the food. And I'll make a couple of soldiers, and then here they come with
a full army,
and it's like it was just this whole. And maybe it was because I just never got into the macro portion of it.
That's the thing. It was every one of those commands that you would click on, like okay, click the villager, and then you got what they can do. Click build, and now it shows what they can build. And you click the build the town center, and then you click where you want them to build it. So it's click, 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 click. Moving the mouse, click, 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 click. There's keyboard shortcuts on all of those things too.
Yeah.
So it's they're sitting there going VAPG, boom, gone. VAPG, gone, and it's just whatever they're hitting, it's just doing it. And
If you've ever, one of the craziest things to watch is like, because I actually every now and again I'll watch like StarCraft, professional StarCraft, and I've actually watched like from the player's perspective, not just a spectator's perspective. And it is so crazy because you're seeing them hit the keys and hearing their keyboard, and it's like clack, 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 clack.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's literally like constant, and you're seeing things pop up on their screen. You're seeing their camera blink around the map because StarCraft has a mini map, and you can click on the mini map to take your camera to that spot immediately, and then you
Hmm.
can set up key bindings to automatically go to that set if you hit a certain key binding. And so they'll set a key binding on their opponent's base, and then they'll, it's like so that they can look at that, and then they can. It
Yeah.
is
It's
absolutely
it's it's
crazy.
it's a whole other level
But
of
then,
that
game,
that
yeah.
they
but then
get,
they don't.
and
They have it even further, where like they know exactly what time in the match they should have certain things up. And if
yeah,
the opponent doesn't have those things, they can already tell what the opponent is going for.
yeah. I mean,
And it's
it
like
gets nuts
it's
how in depth
nuts.
they are with it,
Yeah.
and
Every genre of game has their players in it that look at it in that kind of depth.
Like a
Fighting,
min-max.
yeah, fighting games, for instance. If you take a look at fighting, because fighting games was one of my fortes.
yeah, you're why I hate fighting games.
Sorry, um, I mean, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct. It didn't really matter what the game was. It was a fighting game. I pretty much went for it, except Tekken. Tekken sucks. You can crucify me later.
Oh
Um,
Oh,
no!
one of our buddies will
Oh, poor
not appreciate
Shag.
that.
yeah, I
Poor
know.
Shag.
Te- I think what got me on
You're
Tekken
dead
was
to
at
him.
some point
You're dead to me.
it became not who can counter and block and defend and counter, and it became who can knock you in the air first and then just keep you there the rest of the match. That's pretty much what it turned
Just
into, and that was just
juggling.
dumber and fuck. But anyway, um,
And there you go.
you got your you got your people that now in the latest Street Fighter games, they're doing things. They're counting frames. They know
Yeah.
how many frames this move takes. I can do this move in this many frames. Well, that move takes this many frames, so this move is quicker than that move. Therefore, it's going to interrupt that move, and I can chain these moves together because they have these many frames, and they're going to go fluidly, and you won't be able to do anything because of the. And then it's
Well, also they figured out that there's 2 or 3 frames where their character is invincible, and so
yeah,
they call it invincibility frames because you can't do anything to them while they're in those specific frames. And so it's like,
it's
what? How
became
do you?
way too complicated. It's
Yeah.
supposed to just be a good old fashioned, hey, let's have a brawl, not counting frames and knowing how many frames each move is, and that you're invincible during this time frame and that time frame. In Street
I've
Fighter, it used to be there was one move that gave you some invincibility that I know of, and that was the Dragon Punch. Ken and Ryu. They had a small bout of invincibility whenever they were doing a Dragon Punch, and that's why it was like the biggest counter. Still is. I mean, it still has that same aspect, but it's gotten way too dumb and in depth. I think it's overly complicated now.
it's never been just a simple, fun
Duke it
brawling
out.
Thing is it
experience for
that
me.
happens in every game too.
Never.
I'm just a button slapper when it comes to fighting games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then many people are, and you know what? Their button slappers are pretty difficult actually to combat because you don't know what they're going to do. They're unpredictable. It's their characters are doing stuff that are chained together that you would never think are chained together, and you're like, what? And that's why people can come close doing button slapping. But
Why did you do that
oh,
that way? I don't know what I'm
I
doing.
don't know what I'm doing. It
How
just
did you
takes a
do
little
that
bit of
move?
patience.
What move?
Because that button slapping will lead you to a portion where there's your vulnerability, and that's where you can jump in.
Yeah.
We I hate to bring it back to StarCraft, but like you're
Well,
Jerk.
then let's not. So we're gonna cut
Okay.
that.
Oh,
We're moving. We're moving. Hey, it's okay. We're moving though. We're moving. um, hey, we got to cover genres, so we'll keep it moving. Um, having said that about fighting games, I will say the only one that I have is Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
Although there's some that would claim that that is not a fighting game.
It ain't a real fighting game.
And
But it
maybe it's
is.
the chaotic nature of Smash Brothers with items and everything else that I think it's the only one I feel like I've had a little bit of some ground on because and honestly I still
Smash
suck at it.
Brothers is crazy.
I still suck at it. Yeah, it gets absolutely
Well,
nuts.
the thing is like people will play off the side of the map. So it's like you won't even be fighting actually on like the platform. You will be fighting on the edge of the platform and jumping off and back on.
And it's very much a juggle game. If you don't like
Mhm.
to be juggled, Smash Brothers can be infuriating. And I don't like to be juggled, so I get that.
Yeah.
But I do feel it's like the only one that I sort of feel like I can mildly do because I get the right item and maybe it changes the nature of the battle.
I don't mind juggles. Let me put this out there. I don't mind juggles or juggling because every fighting game has them in some way. What I do mind is being infinitely juggled.
Right. Not
Basically
having an
being
out.
CC locked.
Pretty much. And that's at one
Well,
point that's where
and
Tekken went to. I mean we that our mutual friend, I've watched him knock a character in the air and keep him there the whole damn match, and I'm like, what the hell is the point? Just no.
and in that regard, in any game, anything that takes away control of my character pisses me off to no end. So yeah, when I'm locked down like that, like I'm probably this close to taking the controller and like controller whipping you, if that's a thing. I mean, you got pistol whipping. I just made that up. Controller whipping
Controller whipping.
because I'm just like
I mean,
ah.
I guess if you take your controller and you hold it in a certain way, it could kind of be like a pistol. So you
Yeah,
just take them whack,
controller whip the son of a bitch.
right in the head.
Uh, but yeah, I'm not a fan, and I will typically not buy fighting games. Smash Brothers, Dragon Ball Fighter Z, which even then I didn't play a whole lot of, but I'm such a diehard Dragon Ball fan. But that one can get really in depth, and yeah, like most fighting games, I would never even I never get online. I never remotely get competitive. It's Dragon Ball, So
I do like um, that sugar. I can't remember.
I like sugar.
Yeah, sugar is pretty good. The Dragon Ball Xenoverse. I couldn't think of
Mm.
Xenoverse. But I've got Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 installed right now, and I do enjoy it. It's pretty good if you've not played it.
I have a question, just because
What
I
you got?
don't know. Um, do you guys know what a MOBA is?
Yes, I'm
Okay,
familiar with the genre.
Yeah,
yeah.
I
Were
can't
Um,
there?
remember what the acronym is, but
Yeah, I don't.
but we're talking things like
League of Legends, Smite.
right,
Uh,
Heroes of the Storm.
yeah. I was just curious. Were there any like older MOBAs, or was that just kind of a thing that came out in like the early 2000s?
It's kind of a
I
thing that came out in the early 2000s, as far as I
Yeah,
know.
it's multiplayer online battle arena MOBA.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is a newer genre. Honestly, it never. I won't say didn't appeal to me. It just never crossed my radar.
Yeah.
same.
Um, there were a few that I have played and enjoyed. Um, there was one that was voice acted by the voice actor Vegeta. One of the characters was. I'm trying to remember
Hmm.
what that was. Was it Battleborn? Is that what it was called?
Probably. I had a list, but I went ahead and dropped it.
Yeah, no, I understand. I'm looking it up. But yeah, I've played a few MOBAs, and I just didn't. Yeah, it was Battleborn. So, but yeah, one of the characters, he had swords, and he was voiced by the English voice actor for Vegeta,
Yeah.
and it was a lot of fun. I think it classifies as a MOBA. It had lanes and characters and stuff, and you leveled them up throughout the match like you would in a typical MOBA.
Hmm.
But I've only really played Smite and Battleborn, and I know there's others, but I just didn't know if
I
there
don't.
were old MOBAs. Like, I don't know what the first MOBA was.
Um, I'm not really sure, to be honest. Again, it's just not something that
Yeah, crossed your radar.
crossed my radar, so I couldn't even begin to tell you or guess
Yeah, no, I understand.
what the first one was.
It
But
was
no,
just
as far as from our era, no, there's nothing that I think would qualify as a MOBA.
Mm.
it was just
Anything multiplayer online actually didn't really start becoming prominent until late 90s, early 2000s, I guess.
it would have
Yeah.
been it would have been kind of like around the same time like Halo launched and stuff is when like I feel like the major online scene started happening.
So I did
Well, and
a
that
I know
is
there were some before that, but
I did
well.
a
I
quick
mean,
Google search, and the old Google foo on it here. It says "Defense of the Ancients," which is Dota.
Dota. That sounds right. I
Was
think that is
created,
the
and
first
it
one I
was
remember hearing about.
2003, and that was it was created by Warcraft 3 modding community. So
this one also says one of the first was a Aeon of Strife, which was a uh, custom map for StarCraft.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, like, there's a lot of genres, newer genres that kind of emerged because
Yeah.
of the modding community.
Yep.
Um, and well, honestly, even whole games, franchises we're aware of now, kind of that were originally mods. Counter Strike is what is one that's coming to my
Yep.
mind right now. I remember playing it when it first was just a mod from Half Life.
Yep.
Kind of shifting because I've got the list here, and I don't think we'll get through all of them, but kind of another notable. I mean, you kind of have to mention it because it's. I don't know. It's kind of one of those early ones that really started gaming, but platformers.
Hmm.
Or is we owe a lot to them, and was basically the only thing there was for a while. When it was a much slimmer list, but platformers. I mean,
I
I
know.
stick to kind of the tried and true when it comes to them. I don't really. There's a lot. There's every year there's new ones, but I wouldn't say it's a genre that I run for, or I try and play the freshest ones. But there's the tried and true Super Mario Brothers, Sonic. I'll always like be a sucker for those.
The old side scrollers.
Yeah.
yes,
I know this is not exactly a popular opinion, but I am not a fan of platformers just in general. My brain does not like them.
Well, but I understand that because I have talked to people, and in some cases it's all the jumping
Yeah, I
and
I
and
always
missing that
either
jump.
overestimate or underestimate my jumps,
I
and
I, I know individuals that they do not do platformers for that very reason. So I understand it. I you know
like
it's
even
fine.
in newer games, like I know they're not technically platformers, but I kind of consider them like Tomb Raider and stuff, or Uncharted, or any of those where you have to climb and navigate and jump, and it's like I cannot do it. It is a absolute just miserable experience for me. It's like the game could be awesome, but because it has a platforming section in it,
And you've spent 20 minutes trying to get this one jump that you can
yeah,
make. You have to make it to
yeah,
progress.
it's like
You
the
can't do
It's
it.
possible.
it's possible in the game, but like I cannot hit the buttons at the right time or in the right
Look,
sequence, or it's like, oh, I hate it.
I just don't want to hear it because, unless you've played the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you know nothing of platformer hell with those impossible jumps.
That
Oh,
one
God.
stage, my God in heaven. It had that long jump in it that you had to like really get some oomph to it, and as you went, enemies would appear as the screen scrolled. That's how they
So you
spawned.
jump.
It's how it rendered
Then
them.
it'd knock you back a screen.
Yeah, it would jump. You're about to make the jump, and an enemy would appear and whack, and it
Oh.
knock you right
Well,
down the pit.
to hell with having Zesty play Zelda. Let's have him play the original Ninja Turtles.
Oh gosh, there
We'll
was
send him to a
one.
psych ward.
There was one that it made me I was just infuriated because you would go to jump over the hole over it. It would spawn a creature right at that exact moment and knock
Yeah.
you back into the hole.
Hmm.
But the problem is that when you would respawn, you would jump immediately, spawn a critter, it'd knock you back into the hole. So it just set you into this death loop that you couldn't get out of until all your lives were exhausted.
Well, and because they use that old design technique of like if you go backwards and you go forward just a little bit, it refreshes the whole cycle on the screen. That's why
Yep.
the enemy kept popping back up. It was a programming thing. It wasn't, and yeah, because the screen every time you reset it, you're may not be
That enemy would
technically
come
correct.
back. Mega Man was notorious for that too.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Actually, I think that's what it was. I think it was Mega Man that did that to me.
yeah.
It was. Whew.
It was
Mega Man
literally
had some
like
rough ones.
the most angerifying things to just break a controller over.
Thank you, Konami and Capcom, for all the aneurysm-inducing anger fits that we would throw.
You'd think I would have like infinite patience given what we've dealt with. And because I never broke a single controller growing up with that crap.
I didn't
Did you?
either, actually. No.
Well,
I
Think
did
you look like you were thinking like, did I?
Yeah, I was
Maybe I
like,
did.
did I? I've come close, I think, but I never did.
that's
Yeah.
that's my thing too. Is like I get really really frustrated with games, and so it's like, like people always talk. It's like, yeah, but when you finally beat it, there's that sense of accomplishment. It's like I don't have that. I get through it,
That's a
and then I'm just mad. And it's like, well, at least it's over, but I'm too mad to enjoy the rest of this. I'm just going to sleep.
there was a there was actually a friend of mine whose dad
Oh, I know where you're going.
really enjoyed playing on the Nintendo, which was kind of funny in a way because he's my dad's age, but he would really get into playing the NES when they had one, and he would get so mad that he would chuck it down at the ground at the TV. He'd cuss it, and I think he actually did end up breaking one of the controllers in half.
And that says a lot.
It
'cause
takes a
right
lot
down
to
the
do that, too.
especially for an original NES controller. Those things were built.
Yes.
Mhm. I mean, and the thing is those those chipboards are not flimsy or brittle by any means. They
No,
are
they are
tough
not.
as nails,
Yeah.
and boy, they'll cut you. They cut you so bad, make you wish they didn't cut you so bad.
Oh yeah. I couldn't believe it when he said that. He was talking about it, but he was just like, yeah, he's like, oh yeah, Dad used to chuck that stuff, man. He gets frustrated over playing Super Mario.
Yeah.
Be
Hey,
like,
platformer right there. Those jumps, man, they send you up the wall.
Yep. You know what? Actually, I did crack a controller.
Okay.
I did crack one, and it was one of those back in the '90s, the clear phones and clear this and clear that electronics were all the rave. So it was one
Oh
of
yeah.
those. It was like a clear casing, but it was my SNES. It was the program pad, and it had three buttons along the side of it that you could actually program button presses to. It was real useful for actually fighting games of all things. For instance, you could do the motions for Ken and Ryu's Fireball or Dalzim's Yoga Fire or whatever the case may be. If it had that motion and it shared it, you could program that motion in instead of having to do the down, down, forward, forward punch. All you had to do was push that button on the side. Hadouken!
That was like the jerk face maneuver of the turbo button when it
Yeah, it had that on there too. It had turbo functions.
cheating
Um,
scripts right there.
Yeah.
For every
The original cheating scripts.
the
was,
original
was
cheating
I'm going to
script.
turn this switch on. Yeah, and
That's how
I
you
will
got through
grab.
all those test your might stages in the first Mortal Kombat, where you had to break through the object, build the
Oh
meter up
yeah,
past the line, and then he would break the object. Turbo, that was the only way to finally get up there and break the high end stuff.
Man.
Test your might.
Test
Good
your
times
might.
right there. But I cracked it. I didn't break it. I still have it. It still works, but it's cracked on the side.
I still function.
Mm-hmm. Wanna bet? Starscream.
So yeah, platformers. Zesty's not a fan.
Negative.
No
Um,
platformers.
So all right. So
I love the Tomb Raider series, but like the new, I haven't played the OG Tomb Raiders just because I didn't have access to them at the time. But I have played through all of the new ones,
I got
okay.
the OG Tomb Raider
and
for PlayStation.
I really enjoy the gameplay of Tomb Raider. I do not enjoy the platforming sections quite as much.
Yeah.
The other thing too is I will miss paths, and that's why I think I also struggle with platformers is because I'm in the moment and I don't see paths that exist. And so I'm like, where am I supposed to go? I cannot find this. And so I'll keep jumping into the hole, not realizing where the platform that I have to jump to is.
Yeah. And I've been there. I've had that same scenario come up when it's just like you're sitting there, you're looking and you're looking, you keep like there's no enemies, you've cleared everything, excuse
Mhm.
me, everything to kill, and it just doesn't pop out at you.
Yeah,
Uh, excuse me. Good
I
God.
do that very frequently in a lot of
Drink a little
games.
more.
That's the
The
thing.
other the other
Really
thing
have
that the other
just
thing that
named
does
two
it to
hiccups of
me
death.
is
Ugh.
stealth sessions in game or stealth sections.
You would have
Like,
hated Tenchu.
well, that's my thing
You
is
just don't
because
do-
it's like I will be so focused on trying to avoid.
You're the guy that bought Metal Gear and just ran in and started shooting, weren't you?
No, it's not that. It's like I like
Why does these guys keep coming? I'm not getting nowhere.
Boing!
stealth sections where I can clear the enemies. I don't like stealth sections where it's like
It's not very stealthy. You're just
well, no, like I meant like kill them stealthily, hide the bodies, like that.
yeah.
I don't like where it's like, okay, we're taking all your weapons away. You just have to make it through these enemies that as soon as they spot you, they kill you immediately and you have to reset the stage.
Mm.
Like I just played through one of those in Warframe, and it's like I could not find the correct pathing to get where I was supposed to go, and I just kept getting found. And so it's like I miss things because of I'm too worried about something else, and it's the same with
You get nervous.
platformers.
Somebody's going to
Yeah,
find you and make you reset.
yeah,
What
and
are you
the
nervous
same.
about? What do you have? Well, you got to be nervous, man. It's cool.
But anyway, yeah. So platformers and stealth sections, my brain just ceases function. It's like,
That's all right.
yeah.
And Janigan put one up, and we may all universally agree on this one. Sports genre, not
Mm,
a
not a
not
fan.
a fan. With exception, but I don't even think you had to be a fan. For whatever reason, Nintendo just convinced us that Ken Griffey Jr. was the greatest baseball player to ever live. And everybody had a Ken Griffey Jr. baseball game for the Super Nintendo.
Pretty much.
And I was a Braves guy.
I mean,
but I'm
I've
like,
got one. Yay,
I was-
Marlins!
yeah. Or, no, it's the Mariners. The Mariners.
Mariners. That's right. Mariners. See, that tells you how much I actually know about it. I mean, don't get me wrong on the whole sports thing. I mean, I do like to watch sports. I like to watch football. I like to watch baseball, which a lot of people think is boring as all get out. I don't, and I think we got a mutual aunt, great aunt of ours, and a friend of hers that we also played games with. To thank for that, because of when the Braves were on, you weren't doing anything on that TV except
watching the Braves.
The Braves.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, real
so,
quick,
you know,
I want to give a shout out to Jen, just checking in with the Checkpoint crew. So thank you for tuning in.
Woohoo!
oh yeah,
Woo!
hello, he says.
But yeah,
Hello.
like I said, I've played the fool out of Ken Griffey, but
I
that's
did
really
too.
been about it. I went through a hockey phase. I played a hockey game for the Super Nintendo. But yeah, but none of us are really big sports guys either.
You know what? You know what experience I had with sports games?
I'm the Undertaker.
At the beginning of
That's sports entertainment. That's different.
that's different.
Oh
No, I had
different.
the beginning of Princess Bride when he's playing his NES and he's playing baseball.
Yeah, the baseball game. I remember that.
I have that.
Of course,
I
you
have
do.
that.
That's
of course
pretty much
I do.
it.
And, I mean, it's in there right now. That game could be infuriating though too, and you can make them argue. That was always fun. But yeah, I had that baseball game, the King Griffey Jr. Major League Baseball game. I had that on SNES. I think I own one Madden game.
But I remember you having that one Madden game.
Yeah, I've got one Madden game. But as far as sports games are concerned, I'm not the one that wants to go out and get every single one that comes out every single year. I don't have Madden 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2K,
FIFA.
2K1, I don't.
FIFA 265.
Right. It just, how many times can you rehash the sport game? The thing is nowadays,
It's just
instead of
different
releasing
people.
one each year, right? Instead of just releasing one completely new every year, just throw out updates. All right, here's the new roster.
But then they can't get their money. You got to buy the
Here's
new
the
one
new
to get the
roster
new players. You got to see the new
Here's a
features.
new
You gotta
roster
buy it.
behind this paid DLC. So kind of like a mutual friend of ours was saying about Ark. Why not just keep it running and just release updates and patches? But
I mean, it's worked for WoW.
That's the thing. It has worked for WoW since 2004. That game is nearly 20 years old. World of Warcraft is nearly 20 years old. So, I mean, think about that for a second. And it's still going. Dragonflight is its latest expansion. Still haven't touched it. Kind of proud of myself.
You've done good. You finally,
you
finally broke the addiction. I'm proud of you.
Broke the cycle.
I don't know. I might slip one of these days. But sports games to me just never appealed to me because it's football.
Well, again, none of us
If
are
you want to
really
play football, go
diehard.
play football.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, none of us are really
The
diehard
only
sports
things
guys.
that's the truth. And again, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy watching them. Football, baseball. Um, I've never been a basketball fan. I don't know. It just never really caught me. But
Now, see, now,
eh,
now that's my. I mean, I went through. I did go through a little bit of a basketball. Uh, I guess time era, whatever. But I never felt compelled to go buy games. But that was mainly during the Pat Summit prime, and unfortunately, and I was going to
yeah,
UT at the time. But and honestly, since she's passed, that is like that ship has sailed for me. But yeah,
you drink the Kool-Aid.
I like Kool-Aid.
You drink their Kool-Aid.
Oh, the UT Kool-Aid?
Yeah.
Not really, because I didn't finish my degree there. I think you have to
Not
finish
really,
the
no.
degree there. No, but I will say, obviously we beat Alabama last year, and I was actually in the stands the last time we beat them. I remember beating them. I had my student ticket and was at that game that last time that we beat them before last fall. So I told my wife that, and then I'm like, oh God, I'm old.
I'm old.
You're just now realizing that?
No, I just like to repeat it. You'll get there too. It
Yep.
You'll
it
repeat it
softens
several
the blow
times.
a little bit when you just keep repeating it to yourself. I'm old.
Two
I'm
things
old.
are inevitable: death and taxes.
It helps you accept the fact that I'm old.
But so I will. Here's one. And I've always struggled to classify this as its own genre because it basically entails two games and games similar to it, but at the same time, it's still action platformer. But the Metroidvania genre.
I would consider that sort of like an action adventure platforming.
And I can't remember the first time I heard it, but yeah, I just never considered that as its own, grouping.
Kind of game.
Yeah, but
What differentiates it from like a normal platformer? Like what is like, because if you can break that down, it'll be easier.
so going off of the wiki,
Mhm.
Metroidvania games are a subgenre of platformer, which there you go. But I just never considered it. I just never felt that it needed to go down another level. But named after its first well-known franchises, Metroid and Castlevania, they feature large, interconnected world maps the player can explore, but access to parts of the world is limited by doors and other obstacles that can only be opened after the player has acquired special tools, weapons, or abilities within the game.
Okay.
Acquiring such improvements also aids the player in defeating more difficult enemies and locating shortcuts in secret areas, and often includes retracing one's steps across the map. Metroidvanias usually do not consist of any linear gameplay and often involve much backtracking, especially after new tools and power-ups are obtained.
So basically the difference is just the freedom of it. Because like normally a side scroller, it's like you go one direction in the platformer and that's it. Like you go to the
Yeah,
right and then you keep going to the right until you finish the map.
yeah.
Whereas this is you go to the right and then you may have to go back left and then you may have to go up and then you may have to
And
go
it's
down and then you may have to go back right.
and then you can't even really call it
Well,
open world because you still in most of those have a very set path
Yeah.
that you have to follow to
mhm.
succeed. And you may
Yes.
bump up against like 4 roadblocks before you finally find the obvious path to what you need.
Choice.
Yeah. It feels
In
more
Super
like
Mario Brothers. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say it sounds more like almost like a dungeon crawl before you had dungeon crawlers. It's like you have a set path, like you're trying to get to the end, but you may have to go to a few different places to get to the end. But it's still always a set path, pretty much. It feels like
Eh,
they were limited by the game engine, they were limited by like the technology of the time, and so they couldn't do like they do now, where it's like I don't know, but yeah.
I mean, even today, they still like when games are created. For instance, Hogwarts Legacy. It got a lot in it to do, and a lot of places you can go to and explore and look at and see, and things that need to be done. But you can't do certain things until you learn certain spells. Kind of the same principle. Metroid, you were limited to a certain area that you could go around in and explore until you got the high jump boots. Once you got the high jump boots, now you can jump high enough to get to that next area that you keep seeing but can't make it up there too. And now you can keep going. And it kind of locks progression behind getting specific items or maintaining specific equipment or something along those lines.
I've
And
played games like that before. I'm trying to think of some of them.
Mario Brothers 3 is considered a side scroller, but the thing is in it you can go back and forth in the levels.
Hmm.
Super Mario World, same thing. You can go back and forth in the entire level, but the thing is the gameplay is limited to that level. You can go, you start here, you can go over here, you can go back over here, and you can go over here, and you can go up. Look, there's a hidden one up mushroom here. Okay, great. And you can go over here. You can go over here until you finally hit the goal, right? But a Metroidvania is huge. There are
Yeah.
multiple paths you can go, you can go back, you can go forth, you can explore up the shaft, down the shaft, over here. Oh, look, let's bomb the floor to go in here. It's a lot more open, yet still linear.
Yeah. That's what I was
If that
saying.
makes
Like,
sense.
there's so many times you hit these roadblocks until you eventually find the path they want you to go on. And a lot, in the compliment of their design, they're typically very good about they'll dangle, you know, the shiny in front of you, and on your journey, and you'll see it, and you can't get to it, and it's like now after some experience, it's like, okay, obviously I don't have what I need to go there yet. I will keep going.
Right? And
Although in few cases, if you were clever, you could find ways to get some
By the way,
items early.
the first Castlevania game, I would consider it more of a side scroller
Yeah. Just
because you had the level start and you had a definitive level end.
hmm
And so level one, level two, level three, it did one of those numbers. I would consider it an actual side scroller. Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest started introducing you can now explore areas. You can go this way or that way. You can go back. Castlevania 3
and our
Dracula's Curse,
translation lets you have nowhere to go.
their translation left you going, what the? Um, but Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse, I would say, is more of a platformer again. You could pick what direction you wanted to go, but it still is the definitive. You start the level, end the level.
Yeah.
The granddaddy of all Metroidvania, though, this is what I think really kicked it off. And this is after Metroid 2, Return of Samus, even after Super Metroid. I think what really kicked it all off would be Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Hmm.
That, to me, is still one of the greatest Castlevania games ever created.
Well, and,
Period.
and honestly, you could make the argument it's definitely very, very high on any list of top games ever created. I feel like that's another one of those just beautiful master, like perfection.
Yeah.
in gaming. You know, the level design, the music, the gameplay. Not so much the voice work, but that's another story.
What is a man? Nothing but a miserable pile of secrets. But
Have
enough
at
talk.
you.
How about you?
Oh gosh. We've come so far on voice acting.
Have
Thanks,
we
Corey.
though?
Yes, we
We
have.
have.
I mean,
Yes, we absolutely have.
not if you're
We
Bethesda.
absolutely have.
Um,
I was about to say, not if you're Bethesda. Have you looked at Skyrim or Oblivion?
I don't know.
dude,
Oblivion dialogue is
Let me
very comical.
let me point to you the best voice acting in Skyrim. The dragon Parthenax.
Now, I will say Parthenax was very well done, but I will also say, have you listened to Oblivion voice lines and dialogue?
I haven't. But
It
look up
is.
for a second. Who voiced Parthenax in Skyrim? Look it up.
Oh my god.
I wasn't looking it up, but I was actually trying to find Zesty a YouTube video of maybe a compilation of the Resident Evil voice acting.
Oh Lord. And I'm about to flex one of the reasons why I called myself the voice geek in our previous season. Look up who voiced Parthenax.
I'm trying to see.
Google faster, come on.
Oh, hush up.
Chop chop.
Google faster.
Charles Martinet or Martinet.
Ooh, there's a name. Who else did he do?
Hey, it's me, Mario.
That's pretty good.
Man.
Ah,
Ha ha! Let's go.
that's
What?
so comical. Like I never even knew that. That's actually really funny though. Um, but
There you go. There's your tidbit.
yeah, but it's really comical. Like a lot of people who have played Oblivion, if you listen to the dialogue, it's so funny because some of the characters will just randomly walk up to each other and they'll just start spewing off the random dialogue. So like sometimes the conversations won't even make sense, but they're talking to each other.
That's not a big
I,
deal.
I don't call that a voice acting issue. I call that a programming issue.
Well,
Yeah,
it's not just that. It's like the voice acting is like wonderful weather we are having today.
seriously,
And
dude.
then it's like I lost
You
my
do
sweet
not
roll over by
know.
the fountain.
You
And then
don't
it's like
know bad voice acting. I'm telling you. Like, I don't even like. I've played Skyrim. I played it. Didn't bat an eye at the voice acting
no, no, no.
because
I'm talking about Oblivion.
I never played Oblivion. I'll
I
have to
never really
admit.
played it. But even then,
Oblivion
It
is
came so much later.
infamous.
Like, it can't be worse than Resident Evil.
I don't know. I haven't played the original Resident
Barry,
Evil.
Barry Burton. What is it?
You,
Blood.
Jill, the master of unlocking.
Locking.
All your base are belong to us. Make your time.
Oh, that's horrible translation.
See, that's the thing is that
Ha, ha,
doesn't
ha.
sound like horrible voice acting
ha.
so much as it is poor translation from
No.
Japanese to English.
No. It's bad voice acting because it's actual voice in Resident Evil, you know. And even
Yeah.
Resident Evil 2, it's still like that's not translation. That's just like the dialogue. Yeah, it's not obviously it's not Shakespearean, but it's
Hark, forsooth.
you can still read a line worth a damn. I'll show you later.
The
We'll
other
look at
thing
it
is Oblivion
after
and
the stream.
Skyrim had the same like 8 voice actors for like every NPC in the game. Like they didn't have like there were 300 NPCs throughout the game and they'd have 8 voices for all of them.
But So let's see. Yeah, we've covered. I've got Jannergan's list here. The one and kind of obvious choice worth mentioning. The first person shooter. It's really kind of well, not last. One of the other major genres we've not covered. So,
Yeah.
um, and that one's a deep rabbit hole. I mean, and I think any of us, fall in that camp of like, I like this particular XYZ series, or these particular ones, but then we never touch any of the others. I mean, it's just such a, like I said, a wide hole. And even now, they kind of diversify so much in what they do.
You have your
You know,
first person, your third person, your looter shooters.
first person shooter,
Yeah.
first person
Yeah.
shooter. You see,
The-
you had third person in there.
oh,
first person.
T- TTS? Wait, no. TPS, toilet paper sheets. Third
Yeah.
Toilet
person
paper
shooters.
sheets.
Well, I mean,
Um,
like most of the third person shooters, you can alternate back and forth between first person. And the same for there are several first persons that you can alternate back and forth between third person.
Yeah, but
So it's like I
yeah.
consider them kind of like like you would the Metroidvania like versus side scrollers. It's just a slightly different subgenre.
I want to think that my first major foray into the first person shooter world had to be with Chief and Turk there when we were all playing a certain MMO FPS, Capture the Flag.
I don't know that it's an MMO, but I mean, it was definitely
I mean,
online.
there's a lot of online. I mean,
It's
it
definitely an
drew a lot of
online,
people.
but I don't know that it had the massive.
To me, at the
But I
time,
get what you're saying because really the entire point, I like you literally just played online.
yeah. I mean,
Uh,
there really wasn't much you could do offline on that.
practice
Yeah, that's all you
was
had. Um, Star Siege Tribes.
yep.
Yep. That game still has a very, very, very warm spot in my heart.
Yeah, I
We
think
spent a lot of time on that. I think finally, I think we
a
did play
lot of
enough
it.
Battlefield 1 that I think I did finally put enough into one that surpassed what we spent in Tribes. But still,
I think some of the hardest I ever laughed was when we were all on that game playing, and some of the mods that people had on there were like when you died, the character would do a certain emote or what have you, and they would say certain things in the chat that was scrolling along at the top.
mm-hmm.
And I watched on screen our friend who plays a lot of Tekken. He was on screen. I could see him, and he was in a vehicle, one of those scooter bike things. He was in it, and someone came from behind him and rear-ended him, and they all exploded at the same time. And he was running this scripting or macro or something that it would play certain things. And I heard as soon as they all exploded, I heard in the speakers, Shazbot! And then up at the top in the chat, it had his character saying, somebody rammed our rear, somebody bumped our bottom, somebody rammed our rear.
Well, there was also wasn't it nice driving Richard Petty?
Yeah, nice driving, Richard Petty.
Richard Petty.
So that Shazbot hit, and that came across my screen, and I just lost it, knowing what happened. Because the thing is anyone who wasn't watching that, all they saw was Shazbot and that text appear. But I synced
You
it,
connected the
and
dots.
it made it all that much more funny. It was hilarious to me.
No,
Nice driving, Richard Petty.
I think my first one, it wasn't online, but was Doom. on the Super Nintendo. As much of a feat as it was to strain and grunt and get that thing to work, it wasn't pretty.
Red
Uh,
cartridge.
yeah, little red cartridge.
Yeah.
I was about to
I
say,
think-
dude, mine was it was my first person shooter. Literally the first one I played was Doom.
Yeah.
That was the first FPS that I had, but it was on PC. Um, before it was before I didn't even think about playing it on a console, but I played it on PC. But then shortly thereafter, after we'd played through, I'd played through Doom. The next first person shooter that I really played a whole lot of uh, was Unreal Tournament,
Oh
that
yeah,
was a good one.
that was
and
a good one too.
that was, but
Headshot.
that was in the process too of doing of playing, because we played Tribes about the same time, but the Tribes, the just the graphics on Tribes weren't that great in comparison to Unreal, but it was, I don't know, it just, the gameplay was completely different.
Yeah.
There was nothing like playing Unreal Tournament in these LAN parties that we used to do, and you could hear one of our specific friends go into his cackle laugh spasm. At the same time, you hear an impact hammer coming up from behind you.
Yep.
Yep. Now I had
And he was just cackling. Oh, it was
we spent a
like,
lot of
damn it!
time on Unreal and Tribes, and I'd say Tribes was the first one of ours that really took off as far as a group. But I was just a smidge ahead of you all with online with the it was Team Fortress before it was really Team Fortress.
Yep.
It was Quake Fortress. It was the mod.
Yep.
And through another friend of ours,
Quake Arena.
yeah, it was the mod, and I mean it was pretty rough looking. You got the little lagging dial up disconnect thing often. But that was my first
Goodbye.
like holy crap online, experience. And then of course that led to Half-Life and like Team Fortress Classic and
Well, see, there was that was a whole that went in that kind of went into the whole thing of you had Counter Strike, Half Life, um, Team Fortress, which Team Fortress Classic was. I mean, I really like TF2. Don't get me wrong, but that's one of those things where I still have a soft spot in my heart for for TF Classic.
I never, in hindsight, and I played the full out of TF2, and maybe so much of that was just anticipation and waiting and waiting and waiting forever for them to finally release that damn thing. But in the end, I feel like TF Classic was better, and I had more fun with and just it was just a better experience.
Only time I ever played it was when we were in our LAN parties. I never played it at home.
Yeah, it's funny. This has now made me look to see, is anybody small update patch notes August 18th 2020 Team Fortress Classic update released. I was just like, it's still in my Steam library. Does anybody play it? It's 119 meg. Ain't nothing 119 meg now. Come on.
Well, it is.
Well, this is true.
Not
I need to
to,
see if anybody's actually still playing it. I'd like to. Kind of makes me want to go dig it up.
not to veer off, but my my first first person shooter was actually probably Halo 2 on PC.
Okay.
And I
Well,
don't
that
know
makes
if you
sense. I
guys.
mean, you're at the right age at that. You kind of came in at the
Yeah.
this awesome beginning. When things really started to take off, and
The other one, I don't know if you guys know this one, but there was a Command and Conquer first person shooter.
Renegade.
Yeah, Renegade.
Yep.
I can't. I don't know if it was. I played Renegade first, Halo 1 or 2, but it was all on PC because Dad had a laptop and he had all three of those games. And one of the things that I always remember is um, the flood scaring the absolute crap out of me, and the stealth mission in Command and Conquer where they take all your weapons away.
There you go again.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I like that has traumatized me my
As but we
entire
now know
life. Yeah.
where your stealth PTSD comes from.
Yeah, it's like
Zesty don't stealth.
well, that's the thing is I do stealth. I love stealth missions where it's like, yeah, sneak through the base, kill the guy, stuff him in the dumpster. That's fantastic. Love it.
Terrifying.
Great.
Set it on fire.
Yeah. It's like, has anybody seen Tyler? I saw him like 10 minutes ago, and you're just over there. Yeah, he's just taking a dirt nap in the dumpster. But
Man.
yeah, um, I love stealth games when they're actually like designed for you to do stealth combat. I do not like stealth sessions in games
Yeah.
where it's like, oh, we've taken away everything that you have learned and developed.
Take
Now
it
You
have
don't see a
fun.
lot of stealth in first person shooters. I mean, there's a few that have that segment,
Yeah,
like hit control, crouch around this, but typically, yeah, you don't see that in first person shooters too often. So yeah,
it has
Renegade to
to
do that, it's a
be
little bit more. It's different.
it has to be a specific one designed for it. Like it has to be something like Splinter Cell or Metal Gear or like something that is still a first person shooter, but it's designed for the stealth aspect.
Yeah. Of course, the other big, that has affected us a lot has been Battlefield when it comes to the
Mhm.
first person shooter genre. A lot of time spent on
Yeah.
Battlefield.
Regardless of what battlefield it is, I mean, we started on 1942.
Yeah.
We all moved to Battlefield 2.
Well, you three
Um,
did.
well, yeah, it's true. And we've played Battlefield 1. We've done Battlefield 5.
I played
So yeah,
Battlefield 3, Battlefield Bad Company 2.
Oh, I love Bad Company.
Um,
I did.
Both
I
of
did
them.
Bad Company too, but I kind of went into a lull with Battlefield for a while. Um, well, no, I tell you why I went on that lull with Battlefield is because of World of Warcraft, where I wasn't touching anything else on PC. The only thing I played on PC was World of Warcraft.
That's where a lot of my PC gaming time skip came into play
And
as
it
well.
kind of adds to my argument, of why I kind of, I won't say anti MMO because I still play games of that type, but I realized at a point that I was missing out on a lot of games because I was so dedicated to that one game
That
and
one.
and some of the requirements to remain
Relevant.
kind of relevant. Yeah, relevant. I won't say competitive because I really wasn't competitive. But yeah, to remain relevant within the game. Um, so yeah, I kind of took a bit of a break, and yeah, as I think about it, that's exactly why I took that break.
Um, I ran into a similar thing with Destiny 2 like recently, where it's like I want to play it, but every time it's like they release a new update and then they make it harder, and so all the work that you put in was like worthless basically. And so it's like there's this constant grind to just
It's
remains slightly okay enough that you can play the new content, but you never actually max out without putting in massive amounts of time.
Yeah.
World of
It ends
Warcraft.
up being a pretty vicious cycle
Yeah,
when you
which
really
is
think about it.
which is part of the reason why I've been really enjoying Warframe lately is because even if you put in a lot of time, you still see the results of your effort because you can go back and play lower level missions and you still and it doesn't crank it down like up to your level. It's like no, you just steamroll the enemies.
Yeah.
You basically just steamroll through them. So like your effort has value and shows, but like when it comes to Destiny and like a lot of these other games, it's like you may be level like 200 or whatever, but like as you could go up against level 2 enemies and it's going to still scale up to you, and I despise that to an extent.
So you like going and you don't like them to level up, and you like to go pick on the little low level mobs. It's for the
No,
rookies.
it's
That's
I
what I'm hearing.
I
I mean,
want if I go back to like if I have to farm
I'm
something.
gonna go kill Hogger.
No,
Watch me.
but if I have to farm something on a lower level mission, like I have to go back and farm it on a lower level mission, but it's just as difficult as it was the first time. What was the point? What was the point in
It'll
leveling
be
up and
okay. I promise.
but yeah.
You know, you can't kill Hogger anymore on the outside world in World of Warcraft. When he gets to a certain health percentage, a scripted event takes place, and he gets teleported away. They take him to the stockades in Stormwind now,
Wow.
and he is now the final boss of the Stormwind stockades. So you have to go into the stockades dungeon to actually kill Hogger.
That just doesn't hit right anymore. I mean, there'd be so many times I'd be traveling through that zone and I'd see him, and I didn't need to kill him.
You just wanted to.
I just wanted to. It's like, I'll dismount and kill Hogger. I can do that.
Yeah, I think they actually started that. I want to think in Cataclysm.
I probably knew that and I've just forgot. Because, I mean, I played Cataclysm. Because, yeah, that's when they did revamp all the leveling.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, getting close to probably needing to head towards the end. 6-inch.
Yeah, buddy.
Call out a genre we ain't hit that you
Oh
want to
my
talk about.
gosh, dude.
That you want to talk about, not just any genre. But is there anything special for you?
What would be your favorite?
I think he just
I really
farted.
like puzzle games, action adventure kind of puzzle games, kind of like Legend of Zelda is always one of the ones that always just it hangs with me, and any of those in that same kind of feel where you actually have you have to go in and you have to solve little puzzles and things to progress. I'm not really sure what kind of genre, if that encompasses multiples.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
that'd just
Zelda's
be
a
an
multi.
action adventure.
Well, but Zelda has RPG elements too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard Zelda described as an action RPG.
I mean, yeah, you could say that, but I mean, like it depends too on the game because you've got the some of the newer stuff, obviously, like Breath of the Wild, but you have some of the olders that were more like a top down or
So Google describes it as an action adventure game.
But if you remember
They're
Ocarina of
wrong.
Time,
They're wrong. Okay.
you know,
mean,
I think
action
I know how
adventure
I
RPG.
settle
I
that.
mean,
Yeah.
you go back to the earliest, even like Zelda 2, for example.
Yeah.
That one was very, very RPG like.
Had level
So-
ups, leveling your attack, your health, your magic.
Mm-hmm.
A new one that was really good was that I still haven't finished yet, but I really want to is Phoenix Rising. It plays very, very similarly to Breath of the Wild.
Well, I mean, you also have Breath of the Waifu,
Yeah, and Breath of the Waifu.
Genshin Impact.
I have not
Which
played
is-
that one.
Genshin Impact is actually not too bad. I played a little bit of it, and I just hadn't had time to really
Devote to it.
sit down with it. And
My only complaint is it's a gotcha game.
Uh,
So it has gotcha elements of uh like you have to pay money into it to get more rolls so that you can get a random chance at getting characters and weapons and
and if we ain't got no rolls, we ain't got no tolls.
I think
well, that doesn't make no never mind to me because hey, I'll just tell you right now, I will sit and grind just to not pay them money,
hmm
and I'll do it out of spite.
I don't know how you get more rolls in Genshin Impact.
Well, you bake them.
hmm
Just make them, Sister Schubert.
Listen. It is far too late for your shenanigans.
nothing says leaven like something from the oven.
Yeah, go talk to Sister Schubert about that.
I have to come back later and cut that one out and clip that for the page. I don't know how you get more rolls. You bake them.
You gotta make them.
You roll it up and throw it in the pan.
A roll is a roll, and a toll is a toll. And if we don't get no tolls,
You don't get no
we don't
rolls.
get no rolls.
That is right. I know. I actually got it backwards when I said it, but that's all right. You knew what I meant, where I was going.
I knew what you meant.
And we still got there. Oh,
The end
Well.
result is the same.
exactly. We get rolls.
Because we got told.
Just probably not the
Rolls.
probably not the Ryan's rolls because I don't know. I think Ryan's is gone.
Yeah,
There's probably like a
too.
Ryan somewhere in America that has somehow like survived, just like
Like
Blockbuster.
like
The
Blockbuster,
the
yeah.
one single Blockbuster. There's a Ryan somewhere.
I know we talked about it briefly, but were there any old school looter shooters?
Mm,
Or is that a relatively new genre too?
I would say it's relatively new. I mean, to my knowledge, looter shooter Borderlands was the first.
Yeah.
It took the Diablo formula and put it in first person with guns.
Yep.
I may be wrong on that. But that's the first notable one that I remember.
Let's see what the Google says. But I kind of agree with you. I feel like Borderlands was one of the first major ones. There
Yeah.
may have been some before it, but I think it was one of the first.
So, well, anyway, I think we're at a pretty good spot here. We've covered a lot of genres. We haven't covered all of them, so there's definitely room for a sequel episode to this one if nothing jumps out at us. We'll take note of what we've talked about tonight, and if we do a sequel episode, we'll hit on the ones that we didn't because it's and kind of with the title of tonight, it's it's rabbit hole and it's a very deep one. So yeah, there's definitely more room on this topic. Ideally, we will focus on kind of a more specific topic for the next one. So, did you find it?
Yeah. So it says Warframe was.
Okay.
It says
Warframe was the
Warframe
first
came
looter
out.
shooter.
Yeah, it says it came out in 2013. So I don't know. I feel like
Borderlands.
I feel like Borderlands did come out first.
Borderlands did. So, learn to Google better.
I just googled what is the first looter shooter.
What's
Borderlands-
wrong?
what- When did Warframe come out?
2013.
Borderlands came out in 2009.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you what it says on my screen.
All right.
And
Anywho, I think that's a good spot. Like I said, we've covered quite a few genres tonight. We've got room for a sequel.
And we had somebody,
Watch for a little bit. Yeah.
somebody hit us up there. That's the folks down at Checkpoint Gaming down in the good old Clinton, Tennessee.
Yep. Definitely appreciated checking in for a little bit and giving us a watch. And as I tell anybody, it is more fun and engaging if you can ever catch us live. And I know we run late, but we'll try and give shout outs to the viewers. Maybe answer some questions. I won't say all because obviously we kind of still run this as a little bit of a podcast. So we'll try and stay on topic, but there's you have a chance of having questions and some feedback kind of put into the show and what we're doing. But yeah, definitely appreciated and good adds to the experience being able to catch us live. So
Oh yes, so much more fun.
That and it's a little bit slower to get to the podcast because I'm only doing kind of a smaller minor tier to be able to upload and get that out. And so one episode is basically all we can get a month with the amount of hours we get. So, but yeah, I don't know what we will do next episode. I don't necessarily want to paint us into the corner of alternating like we were doing between movie, video game. Obviously, we broke that formula at the tail end of last year.
Yeah, it didn't take long.
So we'll talk about it. Whatever comes to mind. And
Sounds like we need a Wahoo meeting.
We might need a Wahoo meeting.
a whale hoe.
The whale hose.
hose.
The whale hose.
hose.
But yeah, as always, when we blew it again, like, share, subscribe, comment.
Comment.
I can't go back in time and put that at the start of the video, but hey, if you're watching at this point, do those things.
Maybe we should make it part of the introduction. The 8-Bit Hillbillies. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment.
I could do that.
See?
Actually, yeah. If we can ever motivate a jingle out of our intro, we'll try it again next time.
Hell, I just did it. Clip it and put it in.
Yeah, but we need a jingle.
Jingle, jangle, 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 jangle.
The 8-Bit Hillbillies.
Like, share, and subscribe.
A jingle, 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 jangle. We'll work on it.
He needs to put in his input on that too. Everybody else did.
See, and this is when it gets quiet.
9. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
No.
Do all those things. We will discuss what's coming up for the next episode. We may stay in video games.
We did quite a few movies, so I think we need to catch it up, maybe.
We may do that. So yeah, we'll get it figured out. But thanks for watching. We will, and we'll wrap it up here. Does anybody have anything else before I roll?
I did think of a genre we forgot, but that's good for next time.
The
Yes,
sequel.
Yes.
it is the sequel.
Yes.
So, and I'm going to try and time this right because I forgot to add a little bit of dead space at the end of the video. So the credits are going to roll, and there's a good chance you're going to get our ugly faces briefly. So, with that, thanks for watching. We'll catch you for the next episode.
The 8-Bit Hillbillies, featuring Chief RGS, Jannergan, 6-Inch Turkey. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe.